Yeah, so looking at this draft real quick, to me, French Mongols coming out in game one is so classic. It's almost
Mm,
like the French English. Mongols have been the bane of French's existence for quite some time because they have some tools that really just sort of annoy French. Tower rushing, Dark Age play, not something French really wants to do. But with that being said, Dragevann is Dragovan. Unconventional is how he plays. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gullyd3ck3l says, "Hey, I want to play Dark Age." Dragovan says, "Bet, we'll play."
yeah,
That's
yeah,
also a possibility here.
absolutely. So, I mean, Dragevann is known for some very wild strats, and most of them, I have to be honest, they do pay off. So, I mean, like, you do you, and in the end, like, redefining meta every time. So, I love watching Dragovan. He's a great player, a wild card for sure. Gullyd3ck3l, uh, a fellow German, playing the Mongols on the north side of Basin in yellow. Um, Not the classic blue color, but it's okay. And Dragevann in purple, playing the French on the south side.
Wow. Tell me that you are leaning towards Gullyd3ck3l taking game one without telling me you're leaning towards Gullyd3ck3l taking game one here. Um, Yeah, just kind of looking around this map. You got some neutrals here that I think are viable for trade if Gullyd3ck3l wants to trade. Trade isn't usually recommended against a Knight Civ. It could be a little bit tough to make that work. The opening here from Gullyd3ck3l is that of a tower rush,
Mm.
so he's kind of getting ready for some Dark Age shenanigans. And Dragevann at this point in time, I don't think he scouted it out just yet. No, he barely missed it with his scout. But it doesn't take a lot to come to the conclusion that yeah, I'm probably gonna get tower rushed. My starting gold is sort of on the side here. It's definitely very vulnerable. It's not protected by the TC, and if I get pushed off this, well, my next two options on this map, not great. Forward in the middle or kind of going into that south corner there. So Dragovan is going to either have to decide if he wants to fight the tower rush or if he just wants to cede the gold. And here comes the Khan over with the Khan's arrow, trying to figure out where the gold is. But he does see the mining camp, so he knows where it is. He's going to wheel on over. The spearmen are readjusting their course,
He's also
and you
finding the
have a
second one.
villager
Sorry.
on his way over.
Yeah,
School
so
cavalry. School of Cavalry's coming down for Dragovan. No surprises there. What I find interesting is he's not rushing to gold to gather up as much gold as he possibly can so he can get that first knight. He's only got 2 villagers on it. Depending on the timing, he may not have enough for that first knight. I'm not sure.
yeah, I actually think he will be surprised by the tower rush. I mean, very unfortunate here for him, for Dragovan, to deal with that. I mean, he is seeing that outpost, so it's just barely inside the vision range. So he will, or is it left? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he knows about it. So yeah, now, yeah, okay, he deletes the Winding Camp. Very good choice before there was any hit on that. So no bounty for Gullyd3ck3l, for the Mongols. But yeah, he's losing access to the gold, and he has the one in the back, but Gullyd3ck3l knows about that, and so with tower rushes, I think it's very interesting. Like I've seen like two different kind of approaches in a way. Like one is that you connect multiple towers and try to like surround your opponent's base, like sort of, and try to deny multiple resources. And the other approach would be you build one tower and then you just go back. Um, and sometimes when you do like multiple towers, you pull two villages sometimes. And so we could see like a second tower like in the stealth forest here, denying the stone and the gold here. That would be an option. He could also, yeah, okay, he's pulling it back, but he could also put down a tower here, like just outside of that range here. By the way, he not only denies the gold completely, he is also denying the age up. So no villager here on School of Cavalry for now. So brutal opening here for Dragovan. really tough position to be in. I mean, the saving grace he had was that the wood line is and the town center is kind of forcing Gullyd3ck3l to go all the way around. You know, it's not a straight line, but now we have the villagers chopping wood, so he's still looking for a second tower on that forward gold. So interesting.
Well, this tower has a dual purpose because it's also going after the wood line. So French is going to want a lot of wood, and at present, without the upgrade, it's not going to be able to hit those villagers. But in like a minute or two, and after the upgrade, this wood line is going to be partially denied.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a win-win for Gullyd3ck3l to go with 2 towers here. Though the first archer is here, this tower likely won't get up anymore. And you were talking about bringing 2 villagers to the tower rush. This is why you bring 2 villagers, is to beat this timing. But look at this. Gullyd3ck3l moved his spearman on top of the villager, making it very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult for Dragevann to snipe out that archer, and it's going to be so close.
Oh, that was like literally like one more tick from the villager to complete that tower. Okay, that's rough. That is a very important catch from Dragevann to make sure that this tower is not being completed. Also killed a little bit of like a couple units, so this like the destroyed value here is a little bit in favor for Dragevann now. Gullyd3ck3l was able to reach the feudal age as well. Steer stones, not really a surprise here. On this map, you talked about trade earlier. I mean, this trade post is horrible for Mongols. This one is slightly better, but still doesn't feel great. So I don't know if we'll see trade actually. I mean, like I know Mongols usually are being talked about that they need to go for trade. In a sense, you don't really need to if you keep the pressure up. I feel like. I mean, like, yes, it's great, but if your opponent is not booming, you're not letting them boom, you can still make it work with 1 TC, no trade, and just have the classic fuel all in.
Yeah, and I think Dragevann here gonna go likely for that classic feudal all in. He's gonna be ahead on eco because French villagers are faster at production. Mongols obviously start slightly behind. And if you just think about what Gullyd3ck3l got for this tower rush, he got 1 villager kill. That's it. French is still on gold. Dragevann secured up the forward gold. So it's a tough spot for Mongols right now. Khan comes in, gonna have to use the Khan arrow to try to escape, but it's gonna run out. These horsemen might still be able to hunt him down. He's got quite the distance. Spears do come in and save him, and horsemen do bonus damage against the Khan because the Khan is a ranged unit. So you always got to be careful what you do with your Khan if horsemen are on the field. But if I'm Dragevann right now, I'm happy as can be. Gullyd3ck3l invested in a tower. He's got some spears sitting in the tower. Sure, I'm getting pinged every 5 seconds because
yeah.
It's shooting my school of cavalry. But honestly, I'm perfectly fine. I can kind of do what I want at this point in time. I could macro to castle, I can play feudal, I can even go into pro scouts if that's what I want to do. And Mongols, a little bit of a tough spot here. They're going to need to move out onto some resources here. You see Gullyd3ck3l going for the deer. And if Dragevann wants, he has the units, he can deny that and force Gullyd3ck3l into an early farm transition, and there you go. You see Dragevann moving out, going directly towards those deer. And because of all of Gullyd3ck3l's Dark Age investments, he doesn't really have enough to defend this.
Yeah, and I think the issue actually is that Gullyd3ck3l didn't invest enough into the Dark Age play. And what I mean by that is, like, when like all the fighting was going on around the tower here and all the villagers were being pulled, none of them were killed by Gullyd3ck3l. Just because he only had a couple of spearmen and they were trying to save the villager. And so he didn't even get a couple of villagers kills, and he's way behind by now. And now getting even more villager kills here. So Dragevann finding the villagers on the deer and killing quite a few villagers here. So 6 village, that was 5 more villager kills. And now Keshik are trying to catch up, but not gonna be successful here to go onto the horsemen and the royal knights. So that was a very good catch here from Dragevann, finding the villagers here and disrupting the Mongol eco even further. And I mean, let's face it, the Mongol eco doesn't have a whole lot of eco bony to start with, you know.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it at the start of this cast that while Mongols has a really high win rate, they don't feel great, and that's because their eco without trade is largely vanilla, and you're kind of seeing that play out here. Their farm transitions aren't great. The only thing they really have going for them is a Keshik. Unfortunately, French has a Royal Knight, which outperforms the Keshik, so it's a tough spot. Nice little Keshik raid coming in over by the tower. Yam is going to allow these Keshiks to move away, but I think Dragavann's had enough of this tower, and he's just like, alright, we're going to burn this thing down now, and Gully isn't in a place where he can defend it. Keshik raid on the north gold, though, should pick up an additional villager here. He already got 1, should maybe get 2 or 3. Nice surround. Oh, that is beautiful micro from Gully. 5 villagers go down, and those Keshiks get out of there, and you know what? He returns the favor to Dragevann there.
Yeah, that was very important to kind of, you know, start closing the gap, but then again, it's like 5 to 6 villager kills, but Dragevann still had 7 villagers, and that amount is just gonna climb further and further just because the French have their, you know, quote unquote budget Song Dynasty with 17 seconds per villager. So you basically take, like, depending on where you set it up, like 10 to 20 seconds you lose with your town center at the start, and then you have the regular 20 seconds per villager production time. And so, like, I mean, what the Mongols do have going for them in the early stages is that they start super close to the resources, and so that makes up for a little bit in their eco, and then their food is usually like underneath their town with the pastors delivering to the town center and so on. So they do have some, like, let's call it like hidden eco bonuses, as well as with the Yam network. You know, it's like pretty fast villagers and all that. So they can kind of, you know, compete with a lot of civs, even though they don't have anything going for them, and that's why I think they still do fairly well in most matchups. But if you don't do enough damage with your Dark Age Tower Rush, you're still gonna be in a tough spot.
Yeah, totally agree. And I know we promised different off meta with Dragevann here, but I am very confused. Rarely do I see a farm transition this early in the game when English isn't on the field, and every French player that I've ever talked to, farm transition is like a curse word to them. But yeah. Dragevann is doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you look at the map, like at the base, I was like, is that English? I mean, is like, did he pick the wrong civ or something? Is he confused? But then again, it kind of makes sense, because with the Keshik on the field, you do have the deer on the left side of your base. You also have them on the right side, but it's kind of difficult to access them if there's Keshik on the field, and then you would have to invest a lot into, you know, like going out on the map. Then you build a mill there, you build at least 1 tower there, and then you just spend a lot of resources to then get food, which you otherwise would also get from the farms, but the farms are safe in your town center. And so it's kind of like a trade-off, like a little less gather rate, of course, with the farms than with the deer, but then you also does he even? He also doesn't have survival techniques, so he doesn't have, like, additional bonus from the deer. And so I think it's a fine choice still. Even though, yeah, like, if you talk to a French main, they would be like, yeah, don't talk to me, like, don't use the F word. The farm position.
Farms. What are those?
What are like? You know, we don't do that.
Yeah, like, Pro Scouts has to be an option in this situation, but yeah, again, Dragevann, very unconventional. I was looking at one point, he had 7 on food, 31 on wood, and 1 on gold, and I was very perplexed. But once Dragevann is kind of done with his pseudo farm transition, he's going to be ready to go. Meanwhile, you kind of look over at Gullyd3ck3l's base. He's got 3 pastures, one of them under the Uvu.
But that just ran out,
So
so he's gonna have to build a second Uvu at some point, and then it's just a regular pasture, not with improved generation speed.
So a nice little raid from Gullyd3ck3l there. Doesn't pick up any villager kills, but is able to get some good idle time out of Dragevann here. Keshik's kind of coming in from the west, running into spears though, get poked, have to run away, and you know, Gullyd3ck3l has this superior military in terms of numbers, and in terms of value, but he can't really do anything with it. Dragevann is fairly tight, able to kind of defend this, and little by little Dragevann is getting an eco lead. In probably a minute or less he'll have a 10 villager lead on Gullyd3ck3l, and that's just by virtue of the 17-second villagers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, villager kills is even, but even though it is pretty even, Dragevann almost 10 villages ahead, and that's the thing where, like, as much as I was like, you know, you don't actually need to have a trade, like, in this kind of situation, it would still feel great to have trade going for you, and Gullyd3ck3l kind of has the resources as well. Market has been, like, the cost has been reduced to 100 wood and not 150 as it was a couple patches ago. And so you can actually go for some very easy trade. You don't need a silver tree, build two markets in the corner, and then you just go from there. So that would have been kind of nice, but a good fight here overall. Just try to thin out the numbers. Mongols with a lot of archers, but then again French also having a lot of archers, and both armies kind of losing like the same amount. Like maybe it was a little bit more in favor for Dragevann, I think, but generally a kind of pretty even fight here.
I mean, Dragevann took the edge there. Defender's advantage played a little bit of a role there. I think Dragevann just got more value. Nice little night raid, picks up an additional villager over on these deer. And Gullyd3ck3l, there you go. We have the second town center coming in. This game has sort of progressed. 17 minutes in, he knows he's far behind. He needs to do something. So second town center is his choice. And the interesting thing about Mongol and their 2 TC play is it's really hard to scout. It's really hard to know when your opponent added in a second town center because there's no warning signs. Nice little raid here from Dragevann. Keshik comes in to try to push this one knight back. Rest of the army able to sort of force him away, and Gullyd3ck3l can continue to build that tower and protect these deer. But it looks like more knights are on their way though, and spears.
Yeah, so French doesn't like to have spears normally, but with the weaker Keshiks, at least in feudal age, you can shred them so easily with your spearmen. So if you have a couple spearmen and you have your archers to defend against the opponent's spearmen, it's super easy to deal with the Mongols, I feel like. So their army composition usually doesn't really surprise you heavily. I mean, unless, you know, what Gullyd3ck3l also could do, he could go, move into Mangudai in combination with the Khan's Hunters. But then again, you also have like so many archers by now that it doesn't really feel worthwhile. But I mean, that's like the only wildcard that you can throw in. But other than that, it's a very predictable comp that the Mongols usually go for.
Yeah, Mangudai are a good unit, but they're a situational unit, and pulling them out against French is usually not advised unless you're gonna maybe attempt to trade. But even then, I don't recommend going Mangudai versus French. They're too expensive. They don't get enough value against knights, and Dragevann does find these Keshiks on their way over, retreats for a second, then realizes that's a fight he can win. Some charges, going to get some damage on these Keshiks, and these Keshiks are going to have no choice but to run away. We have walls coming up for Dragevann, so we've sort of entered this later part of the game here where, you know, he can sort of turtle up a little bit better. He has map control back. I wonder if he scouted the second TC from Gullyd yet. I don't think so, because he's not acting like it. But he's continuing to invest, and this is one of those rare games, right? We're about to hit the 20-minute mark, and both players are still in feudal.
Yeah, but then again, like, if either player would go for feudal, I think that would basically be the attack move for the opposing player, like the signal to move in, because then you know your opponent has just spent 1,800 resources not into units, and so yeah, that will definitely be difficult or dangerous to do. We have a lot more farm or pastures right now, so Gullyd3ck3l with 2 TCs is pumping. But even so, he's still behind. So I mean, he had the second TC for a couple minutes now, I believe, and he's still behind. I mean, he's slowly closing the gap, of course. But yeah, definitely still an uphill battle here for the Mongols. Gullyd3ck3l trying to find some more villager kills here, but not finding any actually. It's still 5. So found like spearman here, but that's about it. He could chase on the archers now, but
yeah, Dragevann moving over towards the deer, but gonna get repelled away by the 27 base archers that are chilling over there. 1 spear and 3 Gullyd3ck3l. So I think Dragevann doesn't realize he has the military lead, and he has a big military lead.
yeah.
73 to 43, but the army value, Dragavann's almost double. And he's sort of posturing. I wonder if maybe he's going to come out, or if he wants to go to castle first. Dragevann has done a really good job not floating resources this entire game, and he's now starting to float, which leads me to believe he's maybe considering Castle Age. So Royal Institute would make a lot of sense here. Royal Bloodlines go in for the kill. Gullyd3ck3l hits Castle Age. Gullyd3ck3l, definitely the right call here. If he can get veterancy in, this gap between the two armies won't be as wide, but Dragevann has enough to age up, so we're going to get Royal Institute right on cue, just what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, and then while Gullyd3ck3l was aging up, you saw that I think he cancelled a couple units in queue, and so he got very close to the resources that he needed for Castle Age. Gullyd3ck3l is an amazing landmark, both in 1v1s and also in team games. Very strong landmark to buff your units, but you need the mobility for that, and then also, if you're not going for trade, the step readout, I mean, I haven't seen it for a long time, but if you're not going for trade, the step readout is an amazing landmark as well to boost your gold income as well. So that would have been an option, a viable option, I would say. But I do love the Gullyd3ck3l, and I hope that we're gonna see some good action here shortly. He does have the mobility already and the approved mobility as well. And so that's, and it, by the way, the bug got fixed in this patch, that if you go for the approved or superior mobility first, and not the regular version, then it doesn't really actually do anything for you, which bugged me quite a lot. So that bug got fixed, and so he will move very quickly with the Gullyd3ck3l. We can see it zooming around now here. Also with like the setting it up, like that was the bug, that it didn't set up faster than it should, like as fast as it should.
Villagers are running. 1 Gullyd3ck3l not going to be able to hold this back, but Dragevann kind of pulling back. Yeah, that Gullyd3ck3l is just zooming over. Mazda commercial. Setting up right in front of Dragavann's base, but it kind of gets caught out a little bit. If they can get us around, if those knights can get around it, this thing's not going to be able to unpack. Knights are too close. He's got to pull it back further.
Yeah, he needs to pull it back.
And he might lose the Gullyd3ck3l.
Oh no, he needs to move in now. There's okay. Yeah. He is able to save the Gullyd3ck3l. That would have been a heavy loss. I mean, it's not necessarily GG, but I mean, with the healing factor that comes in, they have the 20% bonus damage. If you combine that with the Khan signal arrow for the archers, like, all of a sudden the veteran archers become like quite formidable units against the French, and then it doesn't really matter if your numbers are less or below of that of your opponent. So yeah, never lose. Like try to never lose your Kurtai. That would be a big no-no for sure.
Yeah, Gullyd3ck3l was able to hold on to it there, and you're absolutely right. The Con Arrow mixed with Kurtai gives you a huge boost. Not only do you get plus 20% damage, you have a higher attack speed. Dragevann is moving in. He's going to start burning down the Kurtai. Keshiks are going to kind of charge in here, and now around the Kurtai, you need to pick your timing and pick your battles.
So.
Try and pick off the Con Arrow goes off. Able to get the bonuses in. Keshiks pull back, spears as the front line, and I think Dragevann is going to take this one.
Yeah, he's still going to take
too many
that
knights
one.
here.
Yeah, there's just so many units, so many knights, and then you have the archers. I mean, slowly getting picked off. We do have crossbows here for Gullyd3ck3l, but I mean now the knights are able to move on. And on top of the crossbows, we do have the Yam network here in play as well, so they are faster, but now they're moving slowly out of the Kurtai range. And yeah, you need to now pull back. So there's no front line, yeah as you mentioned.
Oh no, villagers are getting caught. They're going to try to rush that tower up. They do get it up, but a couple of them go down. But now they're hiding out in this tower surrounded by enemies, and not much they can do. And Gullyd's going to lose a couple of villagers, but more importantly, he might lose the Kurtai.
Yeah, he is able to move it away now, and so the knights are faster, of course, but it just barely might be. Okay, no, he's getting. Oof. Oh, is he? No. Okay, now he got it. Okay, he caught it. Oh, that is so unfortunate. And yeah, as DJP put it so eloquently, LGG. I don't think that this game is gonna go on much further than that. Okay, never mind. Kurtai is still going. Oh, I love that.
It's not over yet. It's running away.
It's definitely not over yet. So as long as you keep the Kurtai going, you can repair it. It's not. It's only burning. It will survive. Gullyd3ck3l is way behind right now, but at least his eco stabilized and he's on par with Dragevann's eco.
A Wololol here could happen.
A Wololol could. I don't think it will happen though. Nope. He was just looking for the relics. He got 2 relics. Pulled this one a lot closer to his base. So in general, like there are a couple things that he has going for him, but now his issue is that Dragevann is camping his military production, and slowly but surely the Kurtai will go down. And I don't think, yeah, Khan is being killed, and so that's surely gonna be GG now. Since the Khan...
Yeah, this is GG. Once you get on top of that primary town center, you shut down Mongols' food eco. Gullyd3ck3l has 5 in the bank. He has no real means to get much more food. He's got 2 villagers working on the deer out west, and he's quickly trying to get some on berries here, but it's a moot point.
Yeah, I mean you could try to move your production like further like behind your base, but is it then like they can also surround it, and the thing is with packed buildings they take more damage, like more torch damage than if they're set up. And so it's just a risky move. You also lose like they're not producing while they're packed, and so it's really a tough call to to move your production buildings. Speaking of which, I mean he does have 2 barracks, 2 archery ranges. Sorry about that. Wrong player. 3 barracks, 6 archery ranges, and 2 stables. So he does have a lot of production. He just doesn't have the time right now. So time definitely not in his favor. Kurtai, where's the Kurtai by the way? You pulled it all the way there, okay, and it's getting repaired. So it was completely burned down. So he lost the Kurtai, but at least it's safe in his base. But how do you come back from this?
Yeah, the only thing you don't, you just wait for Dragevann to make rams. That's all you do. Production buildings, Gullyd3ck3l has 2 stables. He's got 1 barracks, and he's got 4 archery ranges, about to be 3 archery ranges. There's not a lot you can really do.
No, not really. And I mean, you're down 1 landmark. This is your second one, the deer stones, and then you have only this 1 town center, which is gonna prevent the landmark victory from happening. And so, pretty tough position for Gullyd3ck3l to be in, and it's so unfortunate. I mean, he was basically like he was transitioning into the man-at-arms, but he didn't have enough of a front line to actually deal with that fight, and that really just like that single fight cost him the game just because he didn't have enough front line. So that's unfortunate, but very well played by Dragevann, not really being faced too much by the tower rush. And was able to stabilize and then push out on the map, and in a way he played unconventionally, not going for the pro scouts and instead going for an early farm transition with the French. So yeah, learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The bane of ladder, the Mongol civilization, did get pushed around and bullied a little bit, despite the fact that they did their usual antics, Dark Age Tower Rush. Dragevann just kind of remained calm, waited for his window, made some horsemen, made some archers, and capitalized on a ever so tiny mistake that Gullyd3ck3l made, which was bringing one villager when you intend to drop 2 towers. You need 2 villagers to beat the archer timing, and that second tower just barely didn't get up, and that right there was just the edge of the knife that some of these games turn on. I don't know how well that's going to work out against the Malians. Javelin throwers do really, really well against those desert raiders. Malians have a lot of the answers to what Ayyubids would like to do here, I think. Ayyubids could open Eco Wing and just sort of try to fast castle, but against Malians that never feels good if they go cow boom, because they're going to obviously castle H after you, but they're going to have the cow boom. But we don't need to wait around. We can jump right in and find out. So spawning in the northwest side of the map in the color yellow, which just is a beautiful color, you have Gullyd3ck3l with a slightly unfortunate spawn with a forward gold. You never really, as Malians, want a forward gold. That also kind of helps to determine your H2 landmark. We could probably see a Saharan trade network to help defend that, even though Mansa Quarry is typically what you'll see, but you want to protect that first gold. Jumping on to the southeast side, you have Dragevann. For Ayyubids, they're pretty malleable. The interesting thing, though, is they aren't going for berries. They're all on sheep. Interesting.
Yeah, and what also confused me just slightly, he went with 3 villages on gold, picked up 10 gold each, and then went back. So he is
Culture Wing advancement.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely interesting. So I mean, yeah, with the Ayyubids, they also have four wings, but they have 2 different options for each wing. And so usually you, at least how I like to play it, is opening most likely with the military wing reinforcement to get the desert raiders going, and then later on I move into the logistics cultural wing. And the advancement wing to me feels not as great just because you don't really get anything out of a cheaper a cheaper H up. But then again, that can be extremely powerful because then you get it extremely fast. He's also moving out on the map here with the villager, so I'm really curious as to what Dragevann is gonna do. And as we talked earlier, he's known for his wild strategies, and so we're gonna. I mean, are we gonna see a tower rush or something? This is gonna be really exciting. I love this. I love this so much. So let's see what he's gonna do.
There was a player that I used to play a lot with. His name was Parmesan or Rancid, and he was just the king of these Ayyubid sort of culture wing advancement, proxy archery range type builds. And I'll be honest with you, coming from Dragevann, it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. Instead of an archery range, though, he's going with a spear. Gonna try to just start targeting out this pit mine, and that's what I was saying with Malians. When you get this forward gold, sometimes you have to consider the Saharan trade network because the forward gold can be so difficult to defend.
Yeah.
The Ayyubid comes in and he canceled the barracks, Dragevann, and he's going with the archery range here. So, yeah, this is a la, one of the guys I used to play with used to do this a lot into sort of a tower rush. So, we're gonna get some interesting gameplay out of Dragevann for sure. Gullyd3ck3l though kind of knows Dragevann pretty well. He could do a boar pull. A boar pull would be so nice right now. He might be able to get the boar over.
Yeah, I mean
Tight, but
he saw it, so he could try to react to that, and I mean now since the villager is gone, the boar will not do anything anymore, so that's a little bit unfortunate. And now we do have the tower as well, so we do have a proxy archery range, and then the tower rush here on the outpost. And so in general, like with coastal cliffs, like 1/3 of the maps, roughly, or 1/4, I don't know, being inaccessible to water here, everything is a little bit, pushed closer together in a way, and so we do have the other goals here on the back side as well as with the third one here. And so if you can deny this one, it's gonna be pretty good and easy for you to creep up the pressure then, and just also have more vision. I mean, since the map is so much smaller, like if you have a tower here, it's not even as easy anymore to go around in a way.
yeah, I mean, perfect build order for this type of map. You're sort of in this smaller map, a little bit of an arena.
Yeah.
And it's really good with this kind of spawn against Malians. So tower's going to get up. I think archers are going to put down a battering ram. Yep, there you go. There's a battering ram. And this pit mine is going to be pretty much undefendable. Gully can't really do a ton. He can go into sofas, I think, if he wanted to, but he canceled the stables, going into archery range, so we're going to get jav throwers. But jav throwers not going to do much against an outpost. You do have arrow slits coming in, so I think Gully should just abandon this at this point. I don't think he can hold it. He's got another gold mine a little bit west of his base and move out over there. Let's see if Gully scouted it. Gully did scout it, so he knows it's there. And we have a barracks and we have an archery range, so we have jav throwers coming out right now.
The thing is, the jav throwers, they do cost at least a little bit of gold, so he cannot get a ton of them on the field unless, I mean, with the once a quarry, he can kind of get like 2 per minute, but that's not gonna be a whole lot, and then he's completely shut off from gold. This gold mine here on the pit mine on the left side is a little bit unfortunate because the stone is so close that you can't really surround it with the usual amount of houses. So it's a little bit tricky here, and Dragevann just scouted it out, and then he has the battering ram in place already to just move on to the next pit mine. So yeah, now the pit mine is gone. So yeah, I mean, very very curious to see that kind of play here by Dragevann, and like the execution is really good, and I really like that kind of play, and it just goes to show that the Ayyubids, they're so versatile and they can do so many different things, and do them well as well, at the same time too.
Yeah, Dragevann trying to move over towards the pit mine, sees the jav throwers, realizes that he's countered out there, pulls back. Jav throwers getting a couple shots in on these archers, and oh, they do so much damage to archers. About 1,200 or 12 damage per shot. It's very painful. But Gullyd3ck3l, he sort of got his back against the wall here pretty early on. Dragevann continues to push out military. You do have a stables coming down, so we're going archer horseman, which is a really good comp against let's say Donzo Jav that it looks like Gully is going to try to put out here, and I think Dragavann's in the driver's seat here. All the houses going down from Gullyd3ck3l. This is just such a bad position.
Yeah, definitely. He is in the driver's seat, and also another thing that with the houses being burned down, that also puts Gullyd3ck3l in the uncomfortable position to having to build houses where he doesn't have to have, like, want to have them necessarily. And it's just a ton of wood. I mean, they did a buff here, about 10% here, 50 health more in the last patch. The pit mine also got 1,600 instead of 1,500, as it was in the last patch. But that's still not gonna be enough, of course, to deal with the battering ram, and so he just needs to spend a ton of wood to get the houses that he needs up again. And so a lot of equal damage, and if you think about the 200 that you spend for the battering ram, you already got it, like, that's equally as much. So very, very nice investment here by Dragevann, and now we have a little bit of a fight here, but the draft throws dealing so much damage and so easily being able to deal with the archers here. And so Dragevann needs to come back with either more horsemen or, I don't know, yeah, something else at least.
Yeah, he's got to go into the Horseman Archer comp, which is pretty good against Donzo Jav. He just didn't have enough there, and part of the reason why is he invested in an outpost, he invested in an early ram. Gullyd3ck3l has defender's advantage, so I think Gully stabilized here, and I want to say should be okay and can kind of continue with his plan. He does have some idle villagers as a TC because he's running out of food under there. Dragevann, meanwhile, has full map control at this moment. So Dragevann can do kind of whatever he wants. Scout gets a little too close there, and Dragevann loses his scout because Donzos have a spear throw and jab throwers as well. So a lot of range damage on that scout. So Dragevann, a little blind at the moment, aside from that giant tower watching the front of Gullyd3ck3l's base. But I think Gullyd3ck3l is going to move to burn it down now. And he's going to move out onto that deer pack.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of
Scout
vision.
Yeah, I think Dragavann's going to let it go down. Gullyd3ck3l did the smart thing. He led with his scout. This way the tower auto targets the scout. So all the damage was dealt to the scout there, who's eventually going to heal to full health. And this sort of early aggression build from Dragevann, now it's starting to you're starting to see the cracks in it, especially against the Malians.
Yeah, I think with the Malians, they're like, they can pump out units quite easily in a way, and at least I feel like they can shift it so quickly. I don't know, like they don't have anything special going for them in terms of unit production. But if you look at the army value that he just built up in a couple of minutes, it feels like that's really, really strong. And now he can just return the favor and push forward. And yes, he lost to one pit mine, but he just built 2 more walls off the left side of his base. He got 2 deer packs in there, so that's half the deer on the map. So overall, like, very nice here for Gullyd3ck3l, and now he can push forward, causing a little bit of idle time. So not looking bad here at all for Gullyd3ck3l. He is going for the siege engineering, so he is looking for some rams here. Left a scouting sheep as well.
Yeah, and I think if I was to just make a prediction here, I think we're gonna get a game 3. Dragavann's position is a little compromised. He needs this deer. He needs to hold this position, otherwise he's in a lot of trouble. He'll be without food. There's literally no other food available to him, and he'll have to do a farm transition, which, as we saw in game 1, he's not afraid of. But facing this much aggression from Gullyd3ck3l, a farm transition right now would feel bad, especially when you're behind on military count.
Yeah, the thing is he doesn't have a whole lot of wood to spend right now anyway. And so there's no option for him to go for a farm transition. And as you mentioned, so there's the deer pack here, then there's the next berries that he would have access to, and then we have deer and berries again on this side. And then he also has the boar, which, as Ayyubids, you can't do anything with it. So it's like
boar will not be taking this game because both the Malians and the Ayyubids don't like boar.
Yes, they have some aversion against that for whatever reason. But yeah, so basically the food is all on the middle and left side of his map. So if he loses map control here any further, the left side is gonna be shut down, and then he also loses the food here. So he really needs to keep that place here. And now we have the battering ram moving in, undefended though. So losing quite a chunk of health already without doing anything. Scout is gonna, oof, closely, almost getting taken out. And now he's further moving in. Gullyd3ck3l is, while by the way, going for the Farimba garrison. So, interesting.
Ooh. I like this play. Not really going with the traditional cow boom. He's got the advantage here. I do think we're gonna get Mansa Javeliers, which is just wonderful. Gonna give them the bonus poison damage, so they kind of become an all-purpose unit. And we do have that research on the way. It is in, so now I guess the only thing he needs is veterancy, which is 30-ish seconds away, and Dragevann is going to be behind an age. I gotta check because Ayyubids, you can't really tell when they're going up. It doesn't show it. But no, he has not clicked an age up yet, so he's going to be down in age. Similar in military numbers, but Gullyd3ck3l way ahead on resources in military, and I don't see how Dragevann, comes out on top in this.
Definitely an uphill battle for him as soon as the upgrades kick in, and like just until like half a minute ago, Dragevann was not on gold at all. He now moved on to gold with 9 villagers to quickly get up on speed. 20 villagers on wood right now, so yeah, he really is hurting food, and then he has a couple of idle villagers as well, so his food eco is hurting a little bit. His gold eco or gold income wasn't there at all, and so he quickly had to shift his focus. But yeah, now he's still facing the veteran Mansa Javeliers here, and as you mentioned, they are getting quite a couple nice buffs here. As the unique unit being introduced a couple patches ago here. Like another unique unit here for the Malians.
And tower is going down, one villager going with it. Dragavann's trying to micro his way out of this mess, but
wow.
Gonna call it right there. Donzo's able to take down the last of Dragavann's army, and Dragevann just doesn't see a way. Just go next, go game 3. Whew.
Wow.
It looked pretty early on that Gullyd3ck3l was in a bind there, but he was able to kind of remain calm, not panic, went for his second and third pit mines over on the west side of the map, and just went to, a tried and true comp, Donzo Jav, and was able to kind of hold. And from that point, he took map control back, and small maps are great when you have map control and you have access to the resources. But as soon as you lose map control and you lose access to food, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see in the military graph, losing a little, like Dragevann took one bad fight here where he basically did only like a small dent here in Gullyd3ck3l's army, and then it stabilized here, and he was able to pump units. But then your opponent is already Castle Age, and so it's like, yes, you have more units, but you're dealing with Castle Age units, which, even if you would counter them, it still feels horrible.
It's so tough. Byzantines has such a powerful economy, so does China. This one kind of has the makings for a little bit of a longer game, especially on this map. 2 very infantry-based, slower civs, unless Dragevann goes for a Gulp build. Gulp could work pretty well against China because they're a little bit slower. A lot of options here for both players.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Gulp would be the better option, and especially since it's not gonna be against the Order of the Dragon. So the issue with Order of the Dragon is also the units deal more damage, and so the Gulp build becomes less powerful because it triggers, like if it's set on automatic like trigger, it happens a little bit too late, and then the Order of the Dragon units might still kill your units while they're using the Gulp charge. And so against Order of the Dragon, Byzantines usually have a kind of a tough time, at least in my experience. And so against Chinese, I think Byzantines will feel a little bit better. But we're gonna see. So it is a best of one. Score is correct, and we're in game. So Gullyd3ck3l in his signature color yellow, playing the Chinese on the right side, starting with the mill, as you like to do, and then we'll go from there as well as with gold. Byzantines on the left side of the map, starting off kind of early with gold. No, never mind. It's quite normal. Never mind. I have to get my build orders. That's totally normal.
So, kind of looking at this real quick, Gullyd3ck3l is opening with what is kind of becoming the traditional Chinese build, right? You're not starting with the IO, you're just making villagers, and no reason to, because you're just going to go with the Imperial Palace as your first stage up landmark, or Imperial Academy, I should say. So you don't really need to sacrifice a villager to get the IO early. Byzantines doesn't really pose much of a Dark Age / early feudal threat, so you can go Imperial Academy and do the Barbican a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good catch.
That was
from Gullyd.
Very close, yeah. With the scout, and then also the thing is like with the text that you know collect at the mill, like you can collect it later on. It doesn't expire or anything, and so definitely I think with like you know, a couple patches ago, like maybe a year or two ago, the Barbican was the go-to landmark also, because you would probably like in a map like that you could even see like a Barbican drop or something. But I'm kind of glad that this has been you know, a thing of the past. And so yeah, just the usual Chinese opener here with the mill and then the sheep. Could be. I mean, I don't know. Do you expect like a pro scout build? Because the mill is like in a technical sense, it is not necessary. Like if you look at it from like a resource drop off standpoint.
So, looking at the build order coming from Gullyd3ck3l, I fully expect a Pro Scout build.
Yeah.
Reason being, you go Imperial Academy over Barbican. Usually the Barbican's used to secure up resources, secure up a deer pack, secure up berries, but when you're Pro Scouting, it's not really important to you. All your resources are relatively safe. You tower your gold, and you're in a great place. So, here's the Imperial Academy. Nothing I've seen from Gullyd tells me that he's going to do anything different.
Yeah, and
you know, you have the winery coming out from Dragevann. This looks fairly textbook so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, amazing spot here for the Grand Winery here. Enough space to fit 2 farms or olive groves in between, but still like. Yeah, cornering the berries close to your town center. Most of it is underneath the first cistern. Then you could put your second cistern somewhere here, or maybe a little bit closer. You get the gold, the stone, and then the rest of the berries as well of the olive groves eventually. Very, very nice. I mean, like the base here for Dragevann, at least an 8 or 9 out of 10, I would say, with the berries, and then. Like the only like thing is with the gold here in the front, but you could probably like potentially wall it off here with the cliffs, and then have a kind of only have to be mindful of the front side.
What is this villager doing? Dragevann has 1 villager, went from berries. He's just moving north. Oh, he's going for mercenary royal knights.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. It is kind of a risky play because it's super exposed, of course. But then again, you get the Mercenary Royal Knights, which is super strong. And by the way, like eventually, you also get the bloodlines and like all the other unique upgrades that the original units would get. And so it's not like the weaker version. It actually gets like chivalry and bloodlines and so on. So it's gonna be very, very nice and kind of like unexpected in a sense.
So you start with all of the unique upgrades that are available to the Civ. So he's gonna start with chivalry. That's what makes this Royal Knights play so powerful. Is he starts with chivalry, he doesn't need to spend any resources on it. And then once he gets to Castle Age, I think he's going to get Royal Bloodlines on them.
Yeah.
This is the makings of just a Gulp build. Those Royal Knights are going to be able to delay / create headaches for Gullyd3ck3l. He's going to need to tower his gold. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at this going, Gulp build, very real possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally more of a fan of the gold build anyway, but then again, I only have started playing or maining Byzantines recently more, and so I really need to look at the Golden Horn Tower play. But yeah, definitely Assistant of the First Hill, especially with as you laid it out with the Royal Knights having the upgrades. And then imagine you have Chivalry, you also have the gold build, you have the Royal Knights with the Royal Bloodlines in Castle Age, so that's gonna be super strong. And then you could also add some horse archers later on in Castle Age if you if you wanted to, so that could be a very interesting comp. Um, and then on top of that, of course, he doesn't lose his original contract, so he can go for anything else then as well. He could add longbows if he wanted to, which combined with the Royal Knights would be like the classic, you know, ladder comp. What you see is with French English in your opponent. Um, but then he also has different options as well, so that's gonna be very interesting to see. And he can leave it for now. It only takes like 7 seconds to get it, so he can leave it for now.
That's a mistake. First scout from Gullyd3ck3l going down. Got a little greedy trying to steal Dragevann's deer. We will not be getting the gold build though. We probably will see a Golden Horn Tower by virtue of 2 miners on gold. So Dragevann has no intention of looking for a fast castle. He's kind of coming out. He wants to deny the pro scouts. Gullyd3ck3l, looking at how much gold he has. 4 on golds, 17 on food. Really kind of looks like Gullyd3ck3l. He's going to play a little bit of feudal, the feudal he has to, but I think he really just kind of wants to get to Castle Age.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of like a slow Castle Age build. Like between 3 and 5 villagers on gold is enough to get your upgrades, and then once you have your upgrades, you slowly just wait until you have enough for Castle Age, and the amount of food that you get is enough to produce units, and then at some point you hit enough gold, and then just go Castle Age. We could also see, I don't expect it to be there anytime soon, but we could also see a Barbican drop at some point, maybe here, secures 2 golds. That would be very nice as well. But for now, yeah, definitely like a slow Castle Age play. Horseman, Spearman, a good comp to deal with what Dragevann has to offer.
Yeah, that was a little painful losing one of the first 2 Royal Knights, especially when you have Chivalry. Should be able to kind of heal those guys up. Though, for some reason, I'm not seeing Chivalry healing the Knight. Maybe there's an upgrade that's missing? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. I think he should...
I feel like he should have Chivalry.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've tested everything about that. He definitely gets Chivalry. Maybe he only gets in Castle Age? I'm not sure about that. I thought he was getting it in Feudal Age as well. But yeah,
I agree. Gully says, enough, I'm going to put my Barbican down. We're going to go to Song Dynasty. I don't want you harassing my gold anymore. But he's still angling towards Castle Age. You have some horsemen kind of moving out. Dragevann adds in a couple Limitane here, and it looks like, oh, weirdly enough, he is doing a deer push, and he is doing a deer push.
And people in chat pointing out, thanks to that, you do get the Chivalry, but you only get it with the Foreign Engineering Company. So the Imperial Landmark, so that makes it a little bit weak. That build makes it makes it a little bit weaker for Feudal and Castle Age, but you will get it eventually, so that's very nice. But yeah, apparently it does make sense. Like the tooltip for the landmark says that you get the unique upgrades, and so you will get it eventually then, but not until then.
Yeah, learn something new every day. I don't play a lot of Byzantines, but I honestly thought you got it a lot sooner than Imperial Age.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought you get it sooner than that. I knew that you get them because I mean I was testing with the Royal Knights. I was testing with the Kashik as well. Oh no, not with the Kashik. With the elephants. And you don't get the move speed bonus from the Delhi elephants, but other than that, you do get all the bonus, the bonuses from the unique civs. But yeah, apparently
And we have
not anymore.
Palace coming up mid-map to the line of sight of that thing is going to be massive. Gullyd is going to be able to see everything on its way in as soon as that goes up, and just as soon as it goes up, take a look at just how much line of sight you get from that. I like this play. Imperial Palace received some buffs a couple patches ago to kind of hopefully get it into play, and here we go. We are seeing it.
Yeah, it's like almost like half of the map basically covered in like in a 2v2, 1v1, 2-player map. And so yeah, and I do think also like I like the upgrades, because before that it was like, you know, with Chinese it kind of felt like you go for the where it is, the astronomical clock tower, or you go for the other landmark, which is kind of like meh. You know, like, why would you go for that? You have the Imperial Spies, that's kind of cool, you know, you can see the villagers there for 15 seconds, which is like, yeah, I don't really, like, is that really that helpful? I don't know. And so I'm happy about any buffs for the Imperial Palace for sure.
And trouble is on the way. Dragevann, nowhere near Castle Age. It looks like he's kind of decided, I'm going to go attack before Veterancy comes in, and Gullyd turtling a little bit, but he's got crossbows. He's going to be able to do some good damage to Dragavann's front line there and sort of force him away. Good pullback. Gullyd's just waiting for his Veterancy to come in, mixing in a couple Palace Guards. Veteran Horseman is in. Hasn't upgraded Veteran Spearman, but I think he wants to switch to Palace Guards here, and Palace Guards are a unit that normally Byzantine has some trouble dealing with in Feudal Age. Obviously with Royal Knights, they're not a big issue here. But where does Dragevann go from here? It looks like the tempo is on Gullyd's side. Obviously the age advantage is on Gullyd's side, and Dragavann's trying to get up there. But seems a little advantage Gullyd. Especially with Song Dynasty kind of kicking in, and he's enjoying that villager lead.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that right now it is in Gullyd3ck3l's favor. At the same time, we're kind of looking at French in a way with the Royal Knights, and so Dragevann doesn't need to be castled as much as he would need it otherwise without the Royal Knights. But then again, what I love about the Byzantines is if you put some sacred, some relics inside the Grand Winery, get some olive production going there, because otherwise their production in oil is kind of like limited overall anyway, and even more limited without the relics, and so it's kind of tough to make it work. And with the amount of oil that he has, he can get one more set of Royal Knights, but that's about it. And so he really needs to have some kind of response to that, to the Castle Age. So he's moving up with the Golden Horn Tower, so no gold build here actually. So
we're gonna have an interesting situation. So the Golden Horn Tower gives you military or mercenary units for free based upon your contract. He hasn't selected a contract. So does that mean the Golden Horn Tower is gonna just give him Royal Knights? If so, that kind of feels like a cheat code. It also can give him mercenary horse archers, because they're also available in Castle Age. But by not choosing a contract here and just going with Royal Knights, does that mean that's all the Golden Horn Tower can produce? We'll find out soon.
It should be, yeah. So in Yak in chat also says, yeah, it's Knights and Horse Archers, and we do see the Royal Knights. So very interesting. I mean, like, as I said, I just recently, a couple, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 months even, started maining Byzantines, and so that's something I wasn't aware of. And so very interesting strategy to get yeah, and that's true. Like currently,
poor villagers in trouble, walking to their deaths, and all of them go down. Must have been a misclick from Dragevann. Looks like Gullyd definitely in a commanding position here. He picks off another villager through the wood line, and that has to be because he used the Imperial Palace ability, Imperial Spies, and that's exactly why he was able to see those villagers. That's a nice little detail there from Gullyd.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, like, you kind of want to have the veterancy to get your Castle Age Royal Knights, but then you also get access to the Horse Archers, which you might not want to have as much. And so, but yeah, it doesn't matter, like, either way you want to have the veteran contract. Like, I don't think there's any reason not to go for that.
So 2 relics in for Gullyd so far. The other 3, 2 of them are closer to Dragevann's base. The third one is sort of mid-map here. Dragevann is moving out, and you have a race of the monks, but Dragevann is going to get the furthest north relic there. Just as Gullyd's monk is moving over, and he's going to find absolutely nothing. But really good position for Gullyd3ck3l here. I like his positioning. Moving up, starting to onion the map, building this large wall, and sort of taking map control. Dragevann is going with the Olive Grove transition ever so slowly. You're starting to see those come in. But I think Gullyd's in a good place to push.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Gullyd3ck3l is I think pretty happy here. I am a little bit disappointed that not all of the olive groves are underneath the Grand Winery. And with the map, with the wall here, I mean, he is China after all, you know, so of course he's going for a great wall here. So why not?
Granary transition is coming in for Gullyd. He's got 2 granaries down, producing a little, about 1,400 food per minute, and I think once he gets production down, he's ready to pump, and he exits Song Dynasty, goes to Yuan Dynasty with the Astronomical Clock Tower and a couple Nest of Bees, and I think Dragevann might be in some trouble.
Yeah, I think the Nest of Bees is like one of the things that ever since the siege change is a little bit more difficult to deal with that. Like before that, it was just like, oh yeah, he's going for Nest of Bees. I'll just have 2 to 5 Springles and then I'm fine. You can't do that anymore, and so Nest of Bees, I feel like since that patch got like stronger and more oppressive. And I mean, overall, it's just a great way for him to, like, any kind of siege that he wants to go for, even with the traps. You just have stronger traps. I mean, why not? What's not to love about that?
Oh, this is just Gullyd3ck3l going for the eco play right here. Pagoda's coming out. 62 food, 62 wood, 100 gold, and 25 stone coming from a pagoda with a relic in it.
Yeah.
And he's transferring his 4 relics over there, and his economy is late game ready almost. Even though he's only got 70 villagers, he's got his granary transition, he's got pagodas coming in, he's in a strong position.
Yeah, the thing is, like, only 70 villagers. I mean, Dragevann is at 54 and 16 of them are idle for like half a minute now. And so Gullyd3ck3l's eco is so much strong. I mean, yeah, the Byzantines do get the cistern bonus, so with level 3 cistern it's at 18%. That is nice, definitely. But then again, like 18% will not make up for the difference here, especially because not all of the villagers will be in range of a cistern, realistically. And so I would say definitely Gullyd3ck3l still in favor ever since, like, he also picked up a couple villagers, and yeah, with the relics, I think that's a strong point for him. Preventing his opponent also from gold here. We can see it's only this 1 relic with the old production, so
I'm looking at this, and the North American players who have to queue against Faye are probably a little bit sad right now because she likes to troll people with Springolds. Gullyd3ck3l is using Springolds not as a troll, because in the most recent patch, their hitboxes got increased, and now they're really good. So instead of Nest of Bees, which is what you'd normally assume you'd see, we're getting Springolds, which I really like that. Springolds, Nest of Bees, both going to do really good against Dragevann, but because Dragevann is so infantry heavy, with Limitane, with crossbows, with base archers, those Springolds actually are a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The Springles did get a buff, so they will hit more per shot. And I was like, okay, why is he moving in stealth force? But he has vision over this whole area here just because of the Imperial Palace. So that's pretty crazy. And so yeah, he's ready to move out. A little bit of a raid here by 2 scouts, so they will not deal a lot of damage, but they will find a lot of information. And now we have a fight here in the middle, and Gullyd3ck3l really is ready to bring the fight into Dragevann's base. And keep in mind, this is the best of 3 1-1, so whoever's winning this is moving on to, I believe it's the semifinals. So there's a lot of at stake here in this fight. Moving into cinematic mode. So Gullyd3ck3l pushing Dragevann into his base. There's almost no knights standing, a couple of archers and crossbows, but doesn't matter. There's so many crossbows here for the Chinese. And then moving into, we have a mangonel as well as a Springald from Dragevann himself. 2 Springles here, but that's not gonna be enough. Oh my goodness. And I don't know if that would have changed anything, but just saying that the gold build is really, really strong. And it just, like, yes, you don't get free units, but the units that you do have will stay alive a lot longer. And in this fight, the front line just got evaporated so quickly.
Yeah, and that was the game 1 issue that Gullyd3ck3l ran into, was his front line disappeared, and he lost his entire back line after that. This time he had a front line of spear, palace guards, pretty formidable front line, and they held out very well with crossbows on the back line and Springolds. Those Springolds just rip apart infantry. Crossbows, base archers, spear, palace guard, or Varangian guard in that case. Doesn't matter, Springolds are really good against them. And that was just very well diagnosed and played by Gullyd3ck3l. He was aggressive when he needed to be. He pulled back when he was overextended, didn't lose too much. Very well played.